Hi friends, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my July wrap-up. We are about halfway through August, so this is running a little bit late, but I'm excited because I had a fantastic reading month in July and I can't wait to share what I read with you. So let's jump on in. So I'll go through the nonfiction books I read first. First, I read So You Want to Talk About Race, and this was a fantastic book for anyone who's looking to be an ally to the Black Lives Matter movement. I really learned a lot from this and I highly suggest it. Next was The New Jim Crow. This was a description of the drug war and how it has become the new Jim Crow, essentially creating a caste system or a system within our society that really just puts Black people at a disadvantage no matter what they do. So this was a very research heavy and almost documentary kind of book, and I do suggest reading it. It's a little harder to get through, but it is important knowledge, so I do also recommend this one. And then finally I read The 360 Degree Leader by John C. Maxwell for work. This was a book assigned to us for a kind of new employee club, I guess you could say, on campus, in which we learn how to lead up, to lead across, and lead down, and just in general how to be a good leader. I took a lot of notes on this and we had a lot of great discussions. I do think it is worth reading just to pick up on some notes. Next we'll go through all of the manga I read. In Alran High School Host Club, I read volumes 15 and 16, so I am 2 from completing the series, and I am loving the series so much now. I remember, and if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'd know that when I first started the series, I didn't really enjoy it as much because it felt like a bunch of short stories, but now it's all kind of being put into one big stirring pot, and it's all following somewhat of a plot line now, and we're getting backstories and we're getting romance threads and plot lines, and it's actually really fun and enjoyable now. And I actually started watching the anime because I was enjoying the manga so much, and the anime cracks me up and I highly suggest this one. Next I have volumes 11 and 12 physically, but I did read and finish the Dengeki Daisy series. I read volumes 13 through 16 online, and it was really cute. It's kind of the opposite of Alran, where Alran started as short stories and I wasn't really enjoying it, and then it pulled into a plotline that I really enjoyed, whereas this one I really enjoyed in the beginning, and then as it grew closer to the end I started enjoying it a little less. But I really love the relationships in this series and it is pretty cute. Highly suggest reading Alran, but I also do think that Dengeki Daisy is a good gateway manga. Finally, for manga, I read book 1 and reread of Orange, and again, this is my favorite manga hands down thus far, and it's just so cute. There's not much to say about it other than that I really love it. In this, we are following Naho, who receives a letter from herself from the future, in which it gives her advice on how to save her new friend from committing suicide. So there are some trigger warnings, but overall I really love this manga. Speaking of rereads, I did reread on audiobook The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson, but I also did read The Hand on the Wall, and these are books 2 and 3 of the Truly Devious series. I believe it ends with The Hand on the Wall for the finish of the series. However, I have seen on Goodreads when I was documenting that I finished The Hand on the Wall that there is another book. I'm not sure if it's like a epilogue-ish book or a prequel, or if it is a continuation of the series, but I thought it ended really well on The Hand on the Wall. This is the story of Stevie, who attends a school in which all the children are gifted or have a talent of some sort. For example, some of her friends are YouTube stars or virtuosos or authors or really talented and genius in mechanics and engineering. and she is going to the school because she wants to be a detective. And at the school, right when it was founded, there was a murder and no one has really solved the crime. The daughter has been missing forever, and in this, Stevie is trying to solve the Ellingham case, which no one has done before, but she is determined to figure it out. However, during her solving of the case, the school experiences another murder during her time there, and one of her fellow classmates is killed, and so now she is on the hunt to figure out who done it, I guess you could say. I honestly didn't really like the first book that much. It was interesting, however, I did pick up The Vanishing Stair and it got really good, and then The Hand on the Wall was even better. I just really like when the mystery starts to be solved. That's like my favorite part of the book, just to figure out how all of the elements that you hear throughout the story come together to solve the crime, and I really loved it personally, so I think they just got better throughout the series. I also read 4 graphic novels. I read Check Please, book number 1, Hockey, by Ngozi Ukazu, and this is totally Heartstopper vibes. In this, we are following Biddy, who is a YouTuber slash hockey player slash baker, and he is going through his first years of college and being on the hockey team, transitioning from being a figure skater to a hockey player. He's gay, but he's not out yet, so he's dealing with how to come out to his fellow teammates, he's dealing with relationships, he's dealing with the transition to college. I mean, I know from personal experience how rough that was, and it was just so cute, and I highly recommend it. Next, I read Spectacle by Megan Rose Giedris. This is book number 1. In this, we are following 2 twin sisters, and one is killed during the night, so the other sister is trying to solve the murder mystery along with her twin sister's ghost, and it's taking place during within a circus, and it was just crazy, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm definitely gonna be picking up book number 2 this month. Next, I read Wonder Woman: The True Amazon by Jill Thompson, and I'm not like the biggest DC fan, so I had no idea of Wonder Woman's origin story, and this is so good. I had no idea, like 0 idea, that the Wonder Woman origin story has to do with mythology, and now I think Wonder Woman is one of my favorite superheroes. I mean, yes. And then finally, for my graphic novels, I read Mara Tidebreaker by Danielle Page, and this is essentially if Ariel from The Little Mermaid was a superhero and also a little more mature than her. I'm 16 years old. I don't need like an adult anymore. I'm not a kid. I remember when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, Ariel, and now like at 24, I'm like, oh honey, you're still a kid. I'm still a kid. So it's interesting how your perspective changes as you grow up, but this was really good and I enjoyed it a lot, and I highly recommend this one as well. And I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying like superhero comics, because I never really thought I would. I think it's because they're female superhero comics, because, you know, females deserve some powers too. So I really enjoyed both this and Wonder Woman. Now on to the actual books I read. I'm gonna kind of do these in order of my enjoyment of them. So we're gonna see if I can do this. Well, first of all, this is a short story setup or series, or not series, well, a like compendium or bind up of short stories to do with the prequel almost of Throne of Glass. It was really enjoyable, but I find it hard to rate short stories just because each one really has its own rating. So I didn't give this one, if I did give it a rating, it was probably like an average of 4 stars. But it was a lot of fun to check in on Selena's backstory and figure out what happened to her in her past and what happened to Sam and all that good stuff. So I do think this is worth reading for the Throne of Glass series. However, I've only read, I should say, this and Throne of Glass, so we'll see if that remains consistent throughout the series. Okay, now on to the books. So the first book I read, I gave 3.5 stars, and that was The Maidenship by Michelle and Rickman. This is the story of Dane, who was brought onto a ship at 9 years old. After his mother died, his father took him out to sea, and he's just lived at sea for the rest of his life. However, his dream is to just return to land and have a place to call his own and be his own person. However, one day his father is like drastically murdered, and a mysterious girl shows up on his ship, and then he starts gaining powers that he never knew he had, and he has so many things going on, and it's just a lot of fun. The setting is really fun. It's set on the sea, obviously, and I love a good sea setting. The banter between characters is fun, and it was really refreshing to have a different perspective. Typically I read a young adult female perspective, but it was refreshing to have a male perspective and see how he was thinking about the female. However, I do wish we had gotten Sable's point of view, because she was so quick-witted and fun to read, and I really wish we could have delved into her mind. I think that is what would have made this book better for me. Also, the pacing was a little bit off for me. It was a little fast. I love a good world building section, and I feel like a lot of the things were just kind of pointed out but not explained. But it was a lot of fun overall, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the second book. Next, I read Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. This is book 1. This was a reread for me. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Percy Jackson is, but they are the half-bloods, aka sons and daughters of the Greek gods and a human, and they all stay at the summer camp to learn how to train and protect themselves from the Greek mythology monsters. So it was a lot of fun, and I have been reading the series with a group, and yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. Next, I read a short story called Binti, and this is by Nanette Okorafor, and this was so good. I did not expect so much world building and action to happen within, I think it's 96 pages long. In this, we're following Binti, who is from a tribe on the earth that doesn't really advance in technology. They're fine with their simplistic way of life. However, Binti is the very first of her tribe to ever be offered a chance to go to the intergalactic university, and she takes this chance, and on her way there, the race of aliens that is against humans attacks her ship, and she survives only because of the clay from her homeland that she puts on her body is actually a healing clay to the aliens, so it heals them, and so she forms a relationship and a peace treaty essentially between the two races and attends the university. I believe this is a trilogy, so I definitely want to pick up the next books, because this was super fast-paced but also super informative and detailed and descriptive and really, really good. I can't even like pick, other than my top number 1, which of these was the best. So just know that these are all 5 stars, and these were all incredible, and they might all be in like my top 10 of the year. I might have to increase to like top 20 of 2020, because these were all so good. The first was Beach Read by Emily Henry. I'm not a rom-com, or I'm not normally what I would presume to be a romantic reader, but this rom-com was so good, and I loved it so much that I went out and bought like several rom-com books. It was just so good. So January is a romantic romance, a fictional romance women's writer, and her kind of nemesis from college, Augustus or Gus Everett, is a literary fiction writer, and when January's father dies, she goes to his summer house to start clearing out his stuff, and who happens to be next door but Gus. So of course there's witty banter and all that kind of stuff. However, one day they both discover that they are in a reading slump, so they challenge each other to write in the other person's genre of choice, and they go on these like research excursions, and it's just so cute. I loved it so much, and I don't really have anything else to say about it. I just never expected to love a romance so much. I cried, I laughed, I loved this book. Next was Daughter of Smoke and Bone by Laini Taylor. I read this kind of on a whim because Illumicrate came out with the Daughter of Smoke and Bone exclusive edition, and I wanted to read this to make sure that I wasn't just buying it for the sake of buying it. I was buying it because I actually love the series, and let me tell you, I love this series. Like, I was not expecting. I've heard some like mixed reviews on this, but this is incredible. It's definitely like either in line or maybe slightly above Strange the Dreamer for me, and I love Strange the Dreamer. This tells the story of Karoo, who is a blue-haired human, and she works for Brimstone, who is a chimera, and he collects teeth. She never really knows why. She just kind of helps him out and goes and travels across all these magical doors. And there's Akiva, who's an angel, and the angels and chimera are against each other, and it's just like, I don't even know. It's an angel and a devil fall in love, I think is the tagline of this series, and it's so good, you guys. It's so, so good. Next was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is, as we all know, the prequel to the Hunger Games, in which we follow President Snow and his young age and how he came to be. I know there's mixed reviews out there about this, but I freaking loved this. It was so good. I love that, how do I say this without being spoilery? I love that they don't try to redeem him. Like, I love that he's just a horrible person and horrible for the sake of being horrible. But we get to see his like ups and downs and what makes him him, and I just saw it was so intriguing, and I really, really loved it. Finally, we have found my new favorite series of the year, and I mean, you guys told me it was good, but I didn't know it was this good, and I forced my friend Callum to read it as soon as I finished the first book. But I read Scythe, and then I also read Thunderhead. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is my favorite book of the year so far, hands down. Like, it doesn't even, like, I've read a lot of good books, but it doesn't even compete. Like, this is Hunger Games level enjoyment. I loved this. This is like Six of Crows level enjoyment. This is Crown of Feathers level enjoyment. Just so you guys understand, like, I loved this series. Like, I'm still, I think, 2 parts. I think I'm 2/3 of the way through the toll, but you guys said that it got worse throughout the series. No, man, this like is like good or better, and I just, oh my gosh. So let me describe what this book is to you. So Scythe, I'm sure you all have heard me say this several times, but it is a world in which death has been eradicated, and scythes are the only people who can kill, or aka glean, to keep the population under control. And we are following 2 apprentice scythes and how their training process is. And oh my gosh, it was so good. Read it now. So after all that gushing for the last like 5 minutes here, that is all for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you read for July, what your favorite book was, if you read any of the books that I read, and I will check in with you guys in my next one. Bye, friends.